A lot of people in the Middle Tennessee area has some of those big stories. We found out some of them to be true, some of them to be false, and of course that's what we're trying to investigate right here on Community Insider Tall Tales. We have with us Mr. Matt, who is the owner and operator of the Paranormal Tours.
It's Haunt Seekers United Nation LLC. All right, so this is where we get most of the activity on the property. Right here on this bridge, and I'm gonna take you guys back there though, so keep going. So we're gonna use the equipment. Trooper Melton, are you here right now? If so, please cross the rods.
The rumor got around that she had cast a spell on all the men, and the stories reached such a fever pitch that a mob grabbed her and buried her alive here. But in looking at the records, there's always, like I said, there's always some basis of truth in every legend.
I've been running with that ever since. I've had my name legally changed a couple of years back because keeping a secret identity is really hard, and now I can exist on paper, so to speak. I lived like a hermit for a long time and didn't really have bank account or credit cards or anything like that because I was hiding a secret identity, and now I don't have to.
Things that I've learned that the Bell Witch is supposed to have done since writing the cantata is that she comes into the house late at night and plays the piano. And so anyone looking would see the piano playing by itself because you wouldn't be able to see her, of course.
Welcome to another edition of Community Insider. Join us as we travel Middle Tennessee, uncovering history and experiencing the adventure of unique stories and events coming to you inside your community.
Hello, I'm Jonathan Womack. Welcome to this edition of Community Insider as we have another show about our tall tales. And I know a lot of folks that's watching this loves our tall tales. And as we get into our tall tales, I want to take this time to remind you guys that we're looking for more of those tall tales or true stories, fake, false, or true, that you've encountered, whether with ghosts, monsters, whatever it may be. A lot of people in the Middle Tennessee area has some of those big stories. We found out some of them to be true, some of them to be false, and of course that's what we're trying to investigate right here on Community Insider Tall Tales. We have with us Mr. Matt, who is the owner and operator of the Paranormal Tours. Now, the official name of y'all's company?
It's Haunt Seekers United Nation LLC.
And how long have you been doing it?
We've been doing this for 4 years.
Oh, wow. So what got you into this?
Well, as a little kid, I always used to love haunted houses. So I used to build them in my bedroom out of sheets and pillows. I'm pretty much good at taking things and building nothing. But what started Haunt Seekers is I just love traveling to different haunted houses around Tennessee, you know, because every haunted house has its own thing, you know. I just love that. And also our company, we go nationwide, far and out, all 50 states.
Oh, wow.
So we do haunted house reviews all 50 states.
Wow.
Yeah.
I get you. So you're actually a place people can come to and find out where's the best haunted house
Here in Tennessee?
Yeah.
Well, they're not open now, but they was open last year. It's a big shout out to Haunted Hell Nashville in Antioch, Tennessee. and they was the best haunt I've been through.
Wow.
I mean, the way it was set up, it was like hell. The way they had it set up, like you walk under the devil. They had a pentagram, you know. It was good. It was really good.
So, folks that's watching, with your experience with some of the instruments that you have, what all do you guys look into when it comes to certain haunts?
Well, when we go into a haunt, we're very professional when we do it. So we look for details, actors, how they manage the haunt, set design, pretty much everything. We look at every aspect of the haunt. When we come through a haunt, I'm gonna put you like this. The haunt owner's on their tippy toes. I've had them follow me through. That's how good we are. Since 2019, we've visited over 70 haunted houses nationwide.
And do you believe some into the paranormal? I mean, where's your basis? Why would you believe and why wouldn't you believe for folks who's watching?
Well, I believe all the paranormal. I can tell you right now, I've seen some things on this property that I don't care to see anymore. I was actually in the office one night, just working on my computer, and something was knocking on my door, and there was nobody else on the property. Tell me how that happens. The gate was locked. I'm just sitting there going, you know, yeah. I'm here by myself, you know. Just gonna let it do its thing.
Now you guys have been doing some tours.
Yes,
on the weekend,
yes.
So tell us about that.
So we started back in October. Billy Kaufman brought me in. You know Billy Kaufman, right? Mm-hmm. The owner of Short Mountain. So he wanted to do some business. So I decided to get my stuff together. You know, bring some things out of here. Last year, all we had was a table, like that over there. So we basically killed it last year. That's how we got our office.
So you guys began this last year. Now it's pretty much a full-time business for you.
Yes.
You're offering tours. Now, where are you coming to? I mean, now we're actually shooting from the location of the Short Mountain Distillery. You believe you've chosen the right location because you found the spirits and the paranormal.
Absolutely.
What's people going to get when they come on these tours?
Well, when you get here, you can expect a full hour tour. We have some of the most up-to-date equipment that you can use.
Equipment, what do you mean?
Well, we have ghost boxes, we have K2 meters, EVPs, dowsing rods. We got pretty much everything out here. It's pretty much available for you to use. If you, like, we have a tour going on, say you're a customer, you get to handle that equipment and see for yourself and see how it works and everything. So it's pretty cool.
Now, do you guys go to other locations in case people wants to pay you to?
Oh yes, we do.
See if it's So you can do that stuff.
Yes.
So a lot of the instruments you're going to show me, I've probably never seen before. Some folks might have saw it before, but basically these things can detect what? What is it looking for?
Well, spirits.
Okay.
Like Cooper Melton, the famous moonshiner that used to own this property back in the day. We've actually we actually did a tour about 9 weeks ago. We had a guy in the group, and his name is Freddie, right? The spirit box we had said his name. It freaked him out. He wanted to leave.
Wow. Okay. Well, truth or fiction, it's for you guys to decide. It's for us to investigate right here on Community Insider and the Tall Tale. So I hope you'll stay tuned. Matt, what we'll do is we'll begin with actually seeing some of the instruments.
Yeah.
By the way, you got a really cool place.
Thank you.
If this don't scare you off, it's probably where you want to come to. And you'll be seeing some more shots. Shaylee and I myself will be getting some of those B-roll shots so you can see more of it. But this is really cool.
Thank
really
you.
Awesome.
Thank you.
I know you've been going to some of the festivals and fairs and stuff like that, so people may see you out and about, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's go ahead for the folks that's maybe just tuning in. How can people get a hold of you?
Well, you could message us through Facebook. You can email us, visit our website, or you can go to Short Mountain Distillery's website and book a tour as well.
Okay, great. And so, phone number, how they can reach you?
They can email us for now. We're still getting the phone number.
Okay, all right. And they can contact the Short Mountain Distillery as far as that.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Okay. Matt's going to be showing us some of the instruments that you will be able to use or will be used while you take the tours. So Matt, if you would just show us just a few of the things.
Okay. Okay, so these are called dowsing rods. These are what they used to use back in the day or even today to find a water source. So how these work, so let's say you have a spirit you're talking to, right? It's Cooper Melton, for instance. Cooper Melton, did you die on the property? If so, cross the rods. If you died on the property, and that's what it will do. And you can continue to ask them questions. It's either going to uncross it or it's not going to uncross it. So that's how they work. What we got right here is a ghost spirit box. And this is the way the spirit world can actually contact you through it. So you can just like talk, through it, and they want to say something, they will, which they have before. We had a guy about a few months back, he was using this, and his name was Freddie. It said his name through the box. He freaked out. So this is pretty cool. It's got a lot of cool stuff on it. Whenever it detects movement, it also has like a blue light. Just depends where you're at, I guess. So yeah, that's pretty cool. So we got that. Then we got the laser grid system. So basically just hold it, just shine it wherever you want to shine it at. And basically what it's going to do is you can basically see shadows in the dark. But sometimes you're not going to get that all the time because sometimes they're active and sometimes they're not out here. Then we got the EMF. So basically, let's say you have a phone or anything metal, it's going to go off. But if it detects anything on the trail, like a magnetic force or whatever, it's going to go off. It's going to shine red most of the time. It's also going to make a sound. It beeps. And then we got a voice recorder. So if you want to record your voice and listen back and see if the spirit said anything to you, you can do that. We've actually heard a couple things come back on it. I might have the recording, might be able to find it. We got the binoculars with the black light. That's all we got for now.
Okay.
I notice when you step foot in the woods, is shortness of breath, and it feels like something's standing on your chest. It's what everybody always experiences. So if you can't breathe, don't freak out, you're gonna be fine. I freaked out a few times out here. So I'm gonna tell you guys a story of what happened back in the day. So there used to be a man named Cooper Melton. He was a famous moonshiner back in the 1930s. And he owned this whole property. And there was another guy named Big John Patterson. They called him Big Red. He's a big old burly guy. He wore overalls. He had a fiance named Elizabeth Patterson. They was married. So one day, Cooper Melton decided to mess around with Elizabeth. John Patterson didn't take too kindly to that. So he went to the kitchen, got a shotgun, shot Cooper Melton through the head, dead. Then he took an axe and went to the back of Elizabeth Patterson's head. And then what he did next was really bad. He hung them up on display for the town to see. Like he literally hung their bodies up out in the town. I'll be honest with you, when I'm out here, I feel him. I don't like feeling his energy. He just feels evil. All right, let's go, guys. So I'm gonna take you guys a little ways back. It's not too far, but I'm taking you to the main area where we get the most activity during October. tell you a few stories too about some things we saw. All right, so this is where we get most of the activity on the property. Right here on this bridge, and I'm gonna take you guys back there though, so keep going. So we're gonna use the equipment. Right here. Okay. So I'm gonna show you how to use these, okay? And then you're gonna use them. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna ask the spirit some questions. If it answers you, it's gonna cross the rods or it's not gonna cross the rods. So I'll do it first. Trooper Melton, are you here right now? If so, please cross the rods. Is anybody here with us right now? If so, please cross the rods.
And so we want to take this time to thank all the extras that's been along our tours, and that's Ann Abbott and Miss Jessie and Mike. That great family who come along with this tour, and wasn't planned at all, and it worked out well. I guess during a tour like this, it's really on the energy of the people that
Yes.
sort of brings along the tour, and it changes every time, I guess, right?
Yes.
What would you tell folks that's watching if they're interested in something like this? You can probably find the space and the place where they can actually connect with someone, possibly, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
That happened to us tonight. We saw that sort of happen.
Yeah.
What would you tell folks?
Well, I would tell them to come on out. We'll see what happens from there.
Okay.
It really depends on the night. We have good nights, we have bad nights. But on the good nights, you'll get a lot of activity out here.
Well, we want to thank you. Appreciate everybody who helped out and all the team that you have. Make sure you come out and check this out. One more time, for more information, make sure you go to their Facebook page. We've got that information up on our screen. Make sure that you bring us more information about your tall tale. As we say always, we hope to see you inside your community.
So we're happy to have all of these things in the museum, and we have photographs of Charles Bryan playing the auto harp in one of his mountain dulcimers that he collected. He had an enormous collection of dulcimers. Most of those now are at Tennessee Tech in Cookeville. In 1994, Chris Keithley, who was one of the students of Edith, his widow, went out to Falconhurst and photographed her and photographed the house, the famous house built in 1850. And a lot of the antique furniture and his piano, his rosewood piano that you can see in the photograph down here in the bottom, and a lot of his dulcimers and local instruments. After she died in the 90s, the house was broken up, and finally the house was sold to Roy Davis.
Hello, I'm Jonathan Womack with the Community Insider, and we are in the Falconhurst house with Mr. Roy Davis, who owns the house. Mr. Davis, we want to thank you for letting us have this opportunity. There has been many, many years of tall tales about the Falconhurst house and stories, ghost stories about the Bell Witch and her tie to this house. Could you sort of fill us in on some of those tall tales?
The house was built in 1848 by Asa Faulkner, who was a local industrialist and a very wealthy man. At one time, I understand he was the wealthiest man in Tennessee. At any rate, he built the home in 1848 and lived here, he and his family, for a number of generations. When Charles Faulkner Bryan moved here with his wife, Edith, he was a well-known musician and composer. He was particularly interested in the folk songs of Tennessee and traveled all about the state, collecting the melodies and the songs. Also, he collected the musical instruments of Appalachia, the dulcimer and that type of thing. And among the things he collected was an interest in the Bell Witch, who was a famous Tennessee witch up at Adams, Tennessee, not far from Clarksville.
Of course, the Bell Witch is a famous legendary woman who's known as Kate to the John Bell family of Adams, Tennessee in the early 1800s. She supposedly wreaked havoc on many members of the family. She tortured certain members of the family. She would appear at certain times. She would torture them and then leave, and then she would appear again at a certain time, and she would tell them when she was going to appear. When Andrew Jackson heard about her, he became so frightened of the situation, he said he'd rather meet a whole army and deal with it than to meet the Bell Witch. He was so scared of the Bell Witch after he'd heard about the legend and heard about her and met her family, who told him stories about what she had done to the family.
Being fascinated with that story, he wrote a composition, the Bell Witch Cantata, describing the Bell Witch's behavior up at Adams, and that piece became acclaimed as his most famous work. It was performed at Carnegie Hall and brought him a great deal of attention and goodwill. And at the time he was writing it, the legend got started that she, the Bell Witch, came here and helped him write the cantata. Now, I think that Mrs. Bryan, who was a beloved English and Latin teacher here in the high school, saw this as a way to entertain her students, and she probably made up the whole thing. But it's a legend that has endured. And the two things that I've learned that the Bell Witch is supposed to have done since writing the cantata is that she comes into the house late at night and plays the piano. And so anyone looking would see the piano playing by itself, because you wouldn't be able to see her, of course. And of course, this is a reproducing piano that plays itself. The other thing was that there were supposed to be flashing lights in the upstairs window, and I'm planning to buy some strobe lights and see if I can't help that along. Actually, I have not met the lady. Still looking forward to that. Anything that goes amiss, any problem with the house or anything else, we blame on the Bell Witch, of course. So any mistakes I make in working on the house or when I can't pay my bills, it's the Bell Witch's fault, of course. So that's the story in a nutshell. There have been several instances that have been fun. My cousin and his wife came to visit me some months ago, and we were having breakfast, the cousin and I, in the kitchen, and his wife went out on the upstairs balcony to take in the air, I guess, but she was just wearing her nightgown. And when she got outside, the door latched behind her, and there she was, trapped in the upstairs balcony. And she was hollering her head off, but we couldn't hear her in the kitchen. And so when we finally rescued her, we found that the door wasn't locked at all. It was just stuck, and all you had to do was push harder. And anyhow, we blamed that on the Bell Witch, and that's kind of typical of the things that occur. Does that answer your questions?
The John Bell house in Adams is still some say haunted house. It's still a legendary house, and it is still keeps the Bell Witch legend alive today. So it's as alive today as it was probably 100 years ago.
I know that for years people, teenagers and kids and stuff, I'm sure they have come by the house. Maybe like we was hearing from one of the people we was talking to earlier, maybe made it as far as to the front steps. You don't have much problem with people aggravating you up here?
No, young people are scared to death of the place. It's easy to tell people how to find my place. If I want to have something delivered or something, I just tell them the Bell Witch House, and they know right where it is. But the funny thing is, if the delivery fella is a young man, he frequently will not come in. I have to get it off the porch and bring it in because he's afraid of the place.
We do want to thank you for this interview and giving the folks an opportunity to sort of see inside. We hope that you don't have any more altercations with anything that even resembles the Bell Witch, but we do want to thank you and also the viewers for watching this portion of Community Insider of some of the tall tales of Warren County.
I was absolutely terrified at the end. I would like to tell you guys about it, but I don't want to ruin the surprise. So you're going to have to come and figure it out for yourself.
I'm down in the bed. I'm like, no, you were having sleep paralysis. There's no way. That's what that was.
You tried to explain it away.
I tried to explain away because I'm big skeptics when it comes to ghosts.
Pins are in that cage. That's actually what sets them down. So it's impossible for them to come out. So when they're just floating around back here on the floor making noise, something's up. We come in a lot of mornings and there'll be several pins just strode out up and down through here. And no one's been here. It's got to be Sammy.